What if depression is not what they told you it is? What if that emptiness you feel every morning, that weight on your chest that no pill seems to fully dissolve, is not a chemical imbalance, but a desperate signal that you have abandoned yourself? Here is the uncomfortable truth. You are not broken. You are not defective. You are not weak. You are living a life that was never designed for you, and your psyche knows it. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why your mind has been screaming at you to wake up, and more importantly, how to finally listen. Imagine waking up tomorrow in a body that is not yours. Different hands, different face, different voice. You would panic. You would claw your way back to yourself. But here is the terrifying question. What if? What if you have already been living the wrong life for years, and you have simply gotten used to the discomfort? The psychologist James Hollis spent decades studying this exact phenomenon. He found that most people build their entire lives not around who they truly are, but around who they were told to be. The career your father chose for you, the relationship your mother approved of, the personality that your peers rewarded. As Carl Jung observed, the greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of its parents. Think about that for a moment. How much of what you call your life was actually decided by someone else? Your major in college, your definition of success, even the things you claim to enjoy. Whose life are you living? Most people never ask this question, and that silence is exactly where depression finds its home. But what makes this even more disturbing is what your mind does when it finally realizes the truth. Depression is not a malfunction. It is a message from the deepest part of your psyche. And the message is devastatingly simple. Stop, you are going the wrong way. Modern psychiatry often treats depression like a broken machine. Low serotonin, here is a pill, cannot get out of bed, here is a diagnosis. But what if the inability to get out of bed is not the problem? What if it is your body refusing to participate in a life that is killing your spirit? Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived Auschwitz, understood something most therapists still miss. An abnormal reaction to an abnormal situation is normal behavior. Depression in response to a life that does not belong to you is not abnormal. It is profoundly rational. Rational, not broken. As Rollo May later wrote, depression is the inability to construct a future. And of course, you cannot construct a future, because the blueprints you are using belong to someone else. Your sadness is not a symptom, it is your soul demanding that you change direction. Your psyche is not malfunctioning. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do, sending distress signals louder and louder, hoping you will finally listen. And this brings us to something even deeper, the moment you first lost yourself. There's a moment in every child's life when they make an unconscious decision that shapes everything that follows. The psychologist Donald Winnicott called it the development of the false self. False self. Here is how it happens. A child laughs loudly and the parent says be quiet. The child cries and is told stop being dramatic. The child expresses anger and is punished for it. Slowly, piece by piece, the child learns which parts of themselves are acceptable and which parts must be buried alive. As Winnicott wrote, the false self is built on compliance, and its function is to hide and protect the true self. By the time you reach adulthood, you have become an expert at performing a version of yourself that everyone else finds comfortable. But that performance has a devastating cost. The exhaustion you feel is not from working too hard, it is from pretending too hard. If this is starting to resonate deep within you, hit like and subscribe to keep exploring the depths of your psyche with me. Because what I am about to reveal will show you exactly where your true self went. The mask eventually becomes heavier than the pain it was designed to hide. And speaking of masks, what you are about to hear next goes even deeper. Carl Jung understood something about masks that most people never consider. He called it the persona, the social face you present to the world. And here is the danger that Jung warned us about. The persona is that which in reality one is not, but which oneself as well as others think one is. You have worn your mask for so long that you have forgotten there is a face beneath it. Think about how you behave at work versus how you behave alone at night. Think about the opinions you express in public versus the thoughts you keep locked inside. The gap between who you pretend to be and who you actually are is the exact measure of your suffering. Every time you silence your real opinion to keep the peace. Every time you smile when you want to scream. Every time you say yes when every cell in your body is begging you to say no. Silence equals suffering. You deposit another layer of distance between yourself and your authentic life. And here is what nobody tells you. Your body keeps a perfect record of every lie you have ever told yourself. That distance does not just live in your mind, it lives in your flesh. And the evidence is about to become impossible to ignore. Your body is not separate from your psyche. It is a direct extension of it. And when you live a life that contradicts your true nature, your body starts sending distress signals that most doctors completely misread. Chronic fatigue, insomnia, pain. The psychologist Wilhelm Reich called this body armoring the physical manifestation of psychological repression. Here is what that looks like in everyday life. 1. Constant exhaustion despite sleeping enough. 2. Unexplained tension in jaw, shoulders, or chest. 3. Digestive problems with no medical cause. 4. A heaviness that never fully lifts. These are not random symptoms. They are your body screaming that something fundamental is wrong with the life you are living. As Martha Graham once said, the body says what words cannot. Research in psychosomatic medicine confirms that people who chronically suppress their authentic emotional responses show elevated cortisol, chronic inflammation, and weakened immune function. The illness is not in your body, it is in the distance between who you are and who you pretend to be. Your body is literally breaking down under the weight of a life that does not fit. But there is an even more insidious force keeping you trapped in this false existence. Why do you keep living this way? Why do you keep wearing the mask even when it suffocates you? The answer is one of the most powerful psychological forces in human existence. Approval. The need for approval is not a personality flaw. It is an evolutionary survival mechanism hardwired into your brain. In our ancestral past, being rejected by the group meant certain death. So your nervous system learned to prioritize belonging over authenticity at any cost. But here is the trap that Jung identified so brilliantly. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. When you sacrifice who you truly are just to belong, you achieve the belonging, but you lose yourself entirely. What good is a seat at the table if the person sitting there is not really you? You traded your identity for acceptance, and now you have neither. Think about the last time you changed your opinion because the room disagreed. Think about the career you chose because it would make your family proud. Belonging without authenticity is prison. You amputated parts of yourself to fit into someone else's idea of acceptable. And the worst part, this prison feels comfortable, which brings us to the most dangerous trap of all. There is a reason you do not leave. There is a reason you stay in the career that drains you, the relationship that diminishes you, the life that slowly suffocates you. And that reason is terrifying in its simplicity. Comfort is the most dangerous prison because you cannot see the bars. Abraham Maslow observed that human beings choose safety over growth almost every single time. Not because they lack courage, but because the familiar, even when painful, feels less threatening than the unknown. In any given moment, we have two options: to step forward into growth or to step back into safety. Your depression is not comfortable, but it is familiar. You know its rhythms, you know what to expect, and there is a twisted sense of control in that predictability. Familiar pain versus unknown freedom. Breaking free requires something deeply counterintuitive. It requires you to voluntarily walk into discomfort, to disappoint people, to admit that the life you carefully constructed is not the life you actually want. As Joseph Campbell wrote, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." He was not speaking in metaphors, he was describing the exact path to your liberation. But before you can enter that cave, you need to understand what has been hiding inside it all along. Inside every person living the wrong life, there exists a parallel version of themselves. The version that said no when they said yes. The version that pursued passion instead of security. The version that left instead of stayed. The unlived life. Jung believed that the unlived life does not simply vanish. It descends into the unconscious. It festers in the dark, and it surfaces as symptoms, depression, anxiety, that nameless feeling that something is fundamentally wrong. Your unlived life is haunting you from the inside. As Jung wrote in one of his most powerful observations, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Your unlived life is not dead, it is dormant. It shows up in things that make you cry for no reason, in the dreams that haunt you at 3 in the morning, in the jealousy you feel toward people who had the courage to be themselves. Dreams haunt for a reason. That jealousy is not resentment, it is recognition. You are not envious of their success. You are grieving the version of yourself that never got to exist. And here is what you need to know: it is not too late. The return path exists, and it begins with something surprisingly simple. The return to yourself does not require a dramatic upheaval. It does not mean quitting your job tomorrow or ending every relationship. It begins with something far more radical than any external change. Honesty. Radical, unflinching honesty with yourself about what you actually want, what you actually feel, and who you actually are when absolutely nobody is watching. The philosopher Kierkegaard diagnosed this with surgical precision. The most common form of despair is not being who you are. Here is where the healing begins. Start paying attention to what gives you energy versus what drains it. Not what should energize you according to other people's expectations, but what actually does. Notice the moments when time vanishes. Notice the activities where concentration comes effortlessly. Notice the conversations where you feel genuinely alive instead of performing aliveness. Energy never lies. Those moments are breadcrumbs leading you back to your authentic self. Follow them, even if they lead somewhere that makes no sense to anyone else. Your authentic life will never make sense to people committed to misunderstanding you. The people who truly matter will not be lost when you become real. They will finally get to meet you for the first time, and that meeting changes everything. Here is what I need you to understand above all else. Depression is not your enemy. It never was. It was always the alarm system trying to rescue you from a life that was slowly erasing who you really are. Depression is the inability to construct a future. Of course, you cannot construct a future. The blueprints you have been using belong to someone else. Every night you could not sleep. Your psyche was keeping you awake long enough to reconsider. Every morning you could not get out of bed. Your body was refusing to participate in another day of self-betrayal. Alignment is the cure. The cure for living someone else's life is not a pill. It is not a diagnosis. It is alignment. The radical, terrifying, liberating act of bringing your outer world into harmony with your inner truth. This does not happen overnight. It happens in small acts of honesty, in quiet moments where you choose yourself over approval, in difficult conversations where you speak your truth even when your voice shakes. The life you were meant to live is still waiting for you on the other side of your fear. You were never broken, you were just buried under a life that was never yours. If you made it this far, comment alignment found if you recognized yourself in these words today. Wake up. Your real life is waiting for you. Welcome to the Psyche Project. Understanding yourself is the most important journey you will ever take. Alignment found. The question is no longer whether you are depressed. The question is whether you are finally ready to come home to who you really are.